What's up everybody, my name is Mo, and I'm very happy to say that today we were reviewing the first book in the Trials of Apollo series by Riordan, The Hidden Oracle. If you know me at all, or if you've watched literally any video on my channel, you would know that Percy Jackson is my life. The Percy Jackson and the Olympian series and the Heroes of Olympus series by Riordan are two of my absolute favorite series of all time. This book is just a trip back to the good old days of the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. It's got that first person. I have not graded it on Goodreads yet. I will most likely give it 5 out of 5 stars because I love the Percy Jackson series and I love Riordan. I am just so happy that I get to review a Percy Jackson book on my booktube channel, because when I started my booktube channel there was only one book left in the Heroes of Olympus series, and that was Blood of Olympus. And when that came out, boy, I did not feel like doing a review on it. Blood of Olympus is a whole different conversation. We're not gonna go there. So this review may not be perfect and it may not be super eloquent, but I'm so glad I get to review a Percy Jackson book, a book by Riordan. I'm just so excited. Also, I know I can review Magnus Chase, and I will be reviewing Magnus Chase, most likely. You know, let's not make promises that we may or may not keep. So enough babbling about random things that don't have anything to do with the review. We're going to get into the review of this lovely book right here. Once again, we get another Riordan book with a gorgeous John Rocco cover. Oh my god. The book clocks in at 361 pages. It looks small, and 400 pages is a lot. Right off the bat, the beginning of this book is Apollo, the Greek god of basically being Greek, music, light, and poetry, things of that nature. We meet him in a New York City alley, and he's beat up by these thugs, but this girl comes and saves him, and it's very right out the gate, in your face, holy crap, this is definitely a Riordan book. He is cast down from Olympus for letting the Oracle of Delphi be destroyed or lost or something like that. Basically, there are no prophecies, that means there are no quests, so if something bad happens, guess what? The Greek heroes can't do anything about it. We meet our other main character, Meg McCaffrey, who is very strange. We later learn she's a daughter of Demeter. I did not see that coming. At the beginning of the book, I thought Meg was cute. She was very strange. I did not understand her or who her parent or guardian was gonna be. Obviously, when they're talking about her freaking flinging food at people, I was like, wow, okay, she's obviously a daughter of Demeter. But then they're talking about like her guardian, and I was very, very confused. I'll talk about Meg and her situation a little bit later, but for right now, Apollo's personality is freaking hilarious. It's the funniest protagonist I've read since Percy Jackson was a young kid getting used to being a demigod. Riordan writes humor so incredibly well, and right out the gate, you're laughing at Apollo. His absolute horror at being immortal is amazing and so funny to read, and he's constantly thinking like a god in a mortal's body. Seeing Percy so soon was amazing, thank the gods. I missed him so much, and he's on the swim team, which is amazing, and he's trying so hard to get good grades so he can catch up to Annabeth, who's in college, so he can go to college with her. And if that's not the most adorable thing ever, then I don't know what the word adorable means anymore. And then we learn that Annabeth is in Boston with family, which is why she can't help Apollo get to Camp Half-Blood, which means that this series takes place at the same time as the Magnus Chase series, which is both weird and concerning. Are these series going to overlap? I don't understand how Rick is writing both of these series at the same time without having overlap. Plus, isn't he also doing a crossover between Percy Jackson and the Kane Chronicles? How is he doing all these things at once? And then, as if there wasn't enough craziness with the Jackson family right out the gate, like friggin' 3 chapters in or something, we learn Sally is pregnant. Percy is going to have a younger sister. He's gonna be an older brother. Maybe it's a good thing that Rick isn't writing about Percy and Annabeth right now, because I don't think I could handle seeing Percy as an older brother. I think I would just die and explode. In my notes about the book, I wrote how not having the Oracle makes me very nervous, and I also said that I really miss Rachel, and then lo and behold, she shows up in this book, not acting like Rachel, which was very concerning. Percy agrees to drive Apollo and Meg to Camp Half-Blood, and there's fighting, and then they have to walk through these creepy-ass woods, which apparently we have never heard of until now. We've always heard that there are monsters outside of Camp Half-Blood, but not like crazy whispering voices and shit. Apollo getting mind blasted or whatever by all of those voices was very creepy, and I did not enjoy it. Because we're in first person, we are getting Apollo's thoughts as he is getting mind blasted by all these creepy ass voices telling him things. I much preferred when Percy would just get cute little dreams about the future. And yeah, they were scary, but now that I know about this, they do not seem very scary anymore. I love that Rick showed more campers that are diverse and different and unique with lesser known godly parents. That is awesome. Rick obviously just cares and listens to his readers so much. He shows such diverse characters. We also learned that campers have been going missing, and that is just a total shock. Camp Half-Blood is supposed to be a safe place for demigods, not a kidnapping free-for-all. We get Apollo asking where the A-Team is, basically talking about all the heroes we know and love, and that is just so funny. Of course we want to see where the main characters are and what they're doing, and so it's a good way to give us some background information on where everyone is, because Rick knows who we really want to hear about. Nico and Will were together right out the gate in this, which honestly I didn't think that I would even care, but I really liked them as a couple. I think they're one of the more interesting couples that Rick has written. Obviously Percy and Annabeth forever, but Nico and Will just have a different dynamic, and it's very refreshing, I suppose. Apollo commenting on Nico and Will's relationship was great. I loved it, and him talking about his own bisexuality. One common theme I noticed throughout this book was how broken Apollo is and how sad and heartbroken and guilt-ridden he is. Apollo talks about his two greatest loves, Daphne and Hecanthes. I really don't know how to say this. As Apollo is talking about Daphne and Hecanthes, like, it's so obvious how sad and guilty he is. At one point I was like, am I really feeling pity for like a Greek god who is there shown to be very selfish, only think about themselves, and we don't often hear, and by often I mean we've never heard, from a god's perspective. This book was one of the more dark books we've gotten from Rick Riordan. One of my absolute favorite parts was when Apollo was playing music for the first time and he's tuning this instrument, and so they're all like, oh my god, Apollo, that was so beautiful, what song were you playing? And Apollo's just like, it's called tuning. Leo was mentioned in the beginning of this book, and honestly, I was just up to here with Leo. I was like, is this reference to him supposed to make me miss him? Because I don't. I think he was stupid. Our main villain is this evil company, Triumvirate something holdings, if I'm remembering correctly, which apparently may have been behind every conflict we've ever faced in any of the Percy Jackson series so far. And it honestly had setup, which is kind of crazy, because usually big plot twists like that don't have setup in the past books and things. There was mention of when Luke somehow had all this money to finance his war on the Olympians, and it made sense, and it makes sense. Another part that really made me feel for Apollo was right when he was about to go with Meg into the woods to try and see if this other oracle, the Grove of Dodona, really was alive and could work and could save them, and it became very obvious that Apollo has some serious mental health issues and he really needs help, and I really felt bad for him. He talks about how his father doesn't love him, Zeus casts him away, and he doesn't care about him. We later hear Apollo compare Zeus to an abusive stepfather, which I know they're gods, but that doesn't mean that it's not worrisome. He says his father doesn't love him, the demigods don't love him, and he's extremely guilty for letting Python overtake the oracle. Python makes Apollo so incredibly scared. It's everything he's afraid of. Everyone needs him to defeat Python, even though he barely did it the first time, and he's scared of his mind to even be near him when they see him in the labyrinth. He lost his immortality. He lost everything about him that he loves, everything about him that makes him Apollo. It's so awful and so sad, and he swears an oath by the river Styx that he will never play an instrument and never shoot a bow and arrow until he's a god again. And then we get the first time someone's broken an oath in a book by the river Styx, and it's by Apollo, and Meg gets taken away. Apollo gets visions of his two loves, Daphne and Hecanthes, and honestly, he seems so haunted. I'm very worried about Apollo, which I didn't think would happen because he's a god and selfish and annoying. But here I am. This book was very interesting because it has an obviously depressed and unstable Apollo in so much guilt over his past loves, but then Rick makes it so funny. He has Apollo like shaking this pot of flowers and grabbing at them, talking to someone, and Will and Nico are standing by like, well, he's grabbing the flowers again. Is that normal? Rick is so clever. He knows when to add in humor when it's getting too dark. Apollo's song when he was traveling through the anthill was making me very emotional, and Meg obviously felt super guilty. It was then that I knew like something's up with Meg. He mentioned having a mole on the inside of Camp Half-Blood. I'm like, yeah, that's Meg. Meg totally did it. And so they get to the Grove of Dodona and it's revealed, oh my god, this super evil undead emperor is Meg's stepfather. Meg's a very abusive stepfather who uses the beast as a way to control and manipulate her. And it's not something to be happy about, but I'm so glad that Rick put that in here for kids to read and understand. It's good for people to read about abusive relationships and understand how controlling they can be and how awful they are. Now any kids reading this will see that it's bad and that it's not healthy, and if they're being abused, then they can get help. Finally, it's time for the big battle, and it's a giant statue of Apollo naked, stomping on Camp Half-Blood, trying to get into their magical borders, which we learned is basically like a giant bubble over the whole camp. And we get another talking weapon. The arrow that Apollo finds in the Grove of Dodona speaks. Not to harp on you, Rick, but another talking weapon? Do we really need to? Unlike Magnus Chase's talking sword, this talking arrow speaks like a bad Shakespearean actor. And then Apollo makes reference to the Gods of Asgard books by talking about a hot god, aka Frey, and his talking weapon. So the gods can communicate with each other, or they cannot, because we learned that there were other gods in the other series and that we're not supposed to talk to them. But apparently that's just Egyptian and Greek gods. The Greek and Norse gods can freaking have a party together. Not to sound like Frozen, but for the first time forever, we get a prophecy. Thank God, I've missed prophecies. I love deciphering the prophecies that we get, getting it at the beginning, and then figuring out throughout the book what each part meant. It felt like a mystery and it was really fun. Battle ends, Apollo shoots a plague arrow, and then Leo comes back. The whole camp lining up to punch him was exactly what Leo deserved. Of course, Rick would understand that his readers would be angry and give us a little revenge on Leo. And Percy's at the camp because he came to help with the battle, which concerns me because Calypso's there. In House of Hades, Calypso had a very nasty curse on Annabeth because she was mad Percy left her. I don't know about you, but the whole jealous ex thing is not really something I like to read about. That's like an awful thing to do. You don't just curse someone's best friend. They weren't even together at that point because you're mad Percy left you. Even though he had a world to save, not just because he wanted to go back to Annabeth. Calypso, freaking. There are other things at stake. Percy was kind of dealing with the end of the world and possibly dying, but sadly we do not hear from the point of view of any of those characters. We just see from Apollo that they reached a mutual understanding. That mutual understanding, Calypso, better have been a frickin' apology. You don't curse someone in Tartarus because you're mad a boyfriend left you. Overall, this book was fantastic. I absolutely loved it. Returning to the Percy Jackson world is everything. I know there were so many people, especially on Tumblr, that were like, oh my god, Rick keeps writing about Percy Jackson and this world, will he ever let them die? And excuse me? I have to see about 50 posts a day about how J.K. Rowling should continue the Harry Potter series and how you want more Harry Potter, blah blah blah, but I can't get one more series about Percy Jackson without you guys complaining that there's too much. I'm sorry, but I could read about Percy Jackson until I'm dead. Until I'm dead. I will eat it up and I will buy that shit. That was my review of The Hidden Oracle. My predictions for the future, I literally have none. I'm not excited that Leo and Calypso are on this journey with Apollo. I'm sad Meg ran away. I want her to come back. If you are one of the crazy Percy Jackson fans, it's like, I'm not gonna read more Percy Jackson. Rick should have left the series alone. Then you're insane. Read the books. They're amazing. I know this review was more just talking about random things and not very coherent, but I don't really know what types of reviews I want to be doing yet. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you liked it. Give it a big thumbs up if you did. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all the stuff the YouTubers say, and I'll see you next time with another video. Bye! You don't need to raise the dead just to get what you want, Nico. Was I uncharacteristically excited and happy in this video? Maybe. Percy Jackson kind of makes me that way. Did I have to hold the book the entire time of that review? Maybe not, but I did it anyway. I want to show you guys the new plants I got. They're so cute. This is Leia for obvious reasons because it looks like she's got a little bun. And I don't have a name for this one. My dad said pothead. How hilarious. Hope you couldn't hear my stomach growling through that because I'm very hungry and I need to go eat. Bye.